up that you saw earlier. So this is just to let us get familiarized with what we're about to talk about as you being a product manager and you being a product designer. All right, so what are the skills of a product manager? First and foremost is communication, your ability to communicate with your team members without being using derogatory terms, without being too excessive, without micromanaging, without stressing them is top notch. And also your communication has to also do with your ability to pass your information with them. When we are talking about communication, we'll be dividing this into different sections. So I don't want to like explain too deep here. Secondly is critical thinking, where you are able to break down chunky and bulk features into smaller sections for people on your team so that they can comprehend and conceive it. And also your critical thinking also has to do with you being able to think of ways to execute specific ideas without failing too much. I mean, failing is allowed without failing too much. And also, critical thinking also has to do with your ability to read more and expand your horizon across where you are, because understanding what your competitors want, it's a dog-eat word in the tech industry, and people that you are competing with, they don't want you to excel. Honestly, they might wish you the best, but they want to do better than you are. So your ability to read and think about new features that you can put into your products to make it shine better and shine brighter is very, very important. To shine better than your rivals, very, very important. Thirdly, your decision making skills too, your ability to like make decisions as fast as possible, and empathy in user thinking, talking about how you are able to understand what users want and how you're able to sync with them. Also, business sense, that means like you being able to generate revenue with that specific product. All right, so I spoke about communication earlier, and I mentioned before, like you being able to explain your ideas clearly and correctly without jumbling and jumping of words and using too big words. I mean, your team should be able to understand you. That's the reason why you are there as a product manager. Secondly, is your ability to write product requirements documents. All right, so what's a product requirement document? A product requirement document is like an architectural plan for a product. It tells your team what to build, why to build it, and also how it should work so that everybody is aligned before like engineering and design work starts. If you want to start, as you're about to start your product management journey, you need to be able to write a product requirements document. I would not want to like go deep down on explaining into deep because of our time, but you need to be able to communicate with people on your team when it comes to writing a PRD. We call it PRDs. When it comes to writing PRDs can be like a whole long PDF or whole long document file that explains to everybody what that brand is all about, the people that will be on the team, strategies and roadmaps that you are going to use to achieve your goal, which is executing on that product, the business constraints that you may have, personas that you may need like on that product, and also the risks and mitigations that you may actually go through before execution. All right, so I explained earlier about your communication. Thirdly is your ability to say no diplomatically, which has to do with like you need to be able to tell people on your team more no's than yeses. You might think that sounds petty, but it's actually very, very important, because you saying more no's makes each team member, your front end, your back end, your designer, your product designer, your brand designer, your visual designer, your DevOps engineer, and more. It makes them know or think deeper or do better than what they have actually presented to you, because most times they always want to bring you surface level results. Fourthly is your aligning to diverse opinions, which is like, I mean, you should not introduce narcissism to whatever you're trying to build. What do I mean by narcissism? Thinking that you are a one-man show, thinking that you can do it all by yourself. You should be able to allow and accept ideas from your team members. All right, so secondly is a perfect skill you need as a product manager is critical thinking, which I already explained. Um, you breaking complex problems down, and also I didn't explain what's using data to inform decisions. When I talk about using data to inform decisions, if you could remember when I was talking about your skills as a product designer, I mentioned your user research skills, and I also explained how you try as much as possible to get the best out of customers using user researches and user interviews. All right, so an example is when I was trying to build that piggy starch, as you saw. I first, I would say we first and foremost we had purple and yellow as our colors. We used purple and yellow as our color for piggy starch at first. When you could see it earlier, you could see blue and yellow and red. The first color that was used was purple and yellow actually. And what we did was when we used the purple and yellow, we knew that our our target audience were children. We packed like 40 different children, and we gave them the purple and yellow to test the product with. And to our amazement, I mean, I had like 2 or 3 children that were telling me like, I don't like this color. I don't like this color. If we had not done like a user testing, or we are not generate data by testing that specific colors on children, we would have thought that purple and yellow would have been the perfect color for children. So all we had to do data was we packed our results, our data, we collated our data. I mean, we thought that purple and yellow was the perfect color. We now had to like create other list of colors for children, which this was like out of we later went back and we had like 47 children, but this was the color that was chosen by 38 of them. Like, oh, they like this color. And before we actually pushed that, we had like a product out already to test on these same children. And when we tested it on children, we realized that they were not using it as we expected. I mean, we were like, no, this is not good enough for me. But when we now pushed out this color to children, we saw how much they hugged the color and they hugged the user interfaces. Although there were so many things that also changed, which is the fonts that were used. But like I mentioned earlier, user experience and user interviews would help you and make you go a very long way as a product manager and a product designer. It will save you lots of stress when you have data that has been tested. You may not even be able to generate data by yourself. If you have data from other people that have had similar problems and you generate it by yourself um to work on that specific product you're trying to build. So you will not make the same mistakes as people that have built similar products made. I mean, it's not easy using 7, 8, 9 months of the year to build a product, and people are dropping 10,000 complaints about that. It's like a slap on your face. So in order for you to avoid so many problems as a product designer and a product manager, you need to be able to know how to work on your user experience, and also how to work on, your user research, and how to bring it to life too. All right, so lastly, is asking the right questions. So when it comes to asking the right questions, and using data to inform decisions kind of go the same way, because the right questions you have to put on your form are what people are going to use. So the right questions you are going to use, like that you are going to put on that form, if they are the wrong questions that do not align with the product you're trying to build, or they are not aligned with the problem you're trying to solve, you are going I would say you're derailing. Sorry. All right, so you as a product manager, you should familiarize yourself with the agile methodology. It's a system that all product managers use, which talks about first and foremost the requirements. When we talk about the requirements, it talks about what do I need to get this product started? What do I need to give back to this product? First and foremost, like mentioned, I think I want everybody to write this down. First and foremost, you need to have your PRD, which was explained earlier, your product requirements document. Secondly, you need to have your selected team. Like me, you need to have chosen your front end guy. You need to have chosen your back end guy, your DevOps, your content creators, your brand designers, your product designer, your and DevOps engineer, and more and more and more. But you need to be able to select the right people for the job on your team. So that's where requirements come in. Thirdly, you also need to understand what you are building. You need to have the vision and mission of the products down already. Number four, you need to have like the tools that you'll be using. Definitely, we'll still be going down to the tools later on. So from your requirements, once you have your requirements down and you know when you're about to start, then you push to the design phase. All right. So um, when it comes to the design phase, we have talked a little bit about design and what design do, but it feels like design seems to be like a wide term that people overuse, um, and they don't. I would say they don't use it well. So when I talk about design, I'm not talking about graphics design. And there's a difference between graphics design and product design. Graphics design has to do with um, graphics design has to do with circling around or focusing on visuals to focusing on visuals like logo, posters, branding. You think of aesthetics, you think of typography, and you think of visual communication mainly. It circles around how you're using rectangles and circles to communicate to a user. So graphics design is a whole different environment, and product design is a whole another different environment. So when we are talking about design, I'm talking about mainly your product design, where you are focusing mainly on your usability. That means it talks about how people or how your testers would use the product. You are talking about your user flow or your journey flow, where how they react when they are using each and every side of on. I mean, right now I feel like the world has changed. When we are talking about user flow, 5 6 years ago, onboarding processes used to be very long. They will ask, "How old are you? When were you born? Where are you going? Why are you using this app?" And it was enjoyable. But right now, things have changed 5 years to now. Attention spans have gotten short. So when your attention spans have gotten short, you are understanding that your user flow should not be as long as it used to. Your onboarding process should not be as long as it used to. When you are signing up, when you want your users to sign up to a product or for a product or to use a product, it should not be as long as it used to. And you thinking about you being a product designer or thinking about the design field, you think about user-centered designs and how it will efficiently work or how you will collaborate with your developers. I mean, when you are designing something, before you push to development phase, your developers should be able to understand what you are building too, as a user, as a product designer. So, as much as I'm trying to explain this to you, I'm dividing the roles of a product designer and a product manager in the tech world, so you can see where both of them come in. And I am trying as much as possible to distinguish or differentiate it from a visual and graphics designer. So you being a graphic designer, you being a product designer, your goals differ. You being a product designer and you being a product manager, your goals also differ. But you being a product manager, one of your goals is aligned with the goals of a product designer, which is you also are thinking about user-centered design. Your users should be able to enjoy your design, and there are so many tools for designing. I mean, there's Figma, there's Sketch, there's Adobe XD, there's InVision. Yeah, those are prototyping and user experience design. But I think the most popular is Figma nowadays. It used to be Adobe XD, but Figma has taken over in past 2 years. Then we switch to development phase as a product manager. Once you leave design, you go to the product development.